Okay, now we hit new and we have a new source code file here. What we're going to do is start out task main, have an opening bracket here, and we're going to say integer a equals 0, integer b equals 1. Say if a is equal to 0, another opening bracket, then b is equal to 0. Closing bracket, and then our other closing bracket here. Now, what this program does, it declares a task named main, which is going to be that's exactly what it sounds like. It's the main task. What it'll do is it will control all your other tasks, and it's basically the driver that'll execute everything else. I have an opening bracket here and the matching closing bracket here. What that signifies is that all the code in between here is owned by task main. It's all inside of it. Whenever I put my pair of brackets here, I'm saying this code right here is inside this if statement. So now that we're looking through this, I said integer a, and the integer is simply a data type that'll hold from negative 32,000 to positive 32,000. It'll hold only whole numbers, so it'll try and put fractions in here because it'll probably just truncate them and just drop off the fractional component on it. So I created an integer variable. The name is a, and I set it equal to 0. And I had another integer b, and I set it equal to 1. Notice how at the end of my line I have a semicolon. That's a terminator for commands. Anytime you have a command, you're going to have a semicolon after it. Some things that aren't really commands, you won't have them after, like task main doesn't have a semicolon after it. If doesn't have a semicolon after it. Basically, if it has a pair of brackets, you're not going to put a semicolon after it. So whenever we get down here, it said if a equals 0, b equals 0. Now notice how I have 1 equal sign here and 2 equal signs here. The 1 equal sign signifies the assignment operator, which means that I am taking the value 0 and I'm setting a equal to 0. The double equal sign is a comparison operator. I'm asking, is a equal to 0? And if it is, it's going to return a 1, and then that's going to be true. If it was false, it would return a 0, and that would be false. So basically what this reads, if a is 0, b equals 0. So basically what it boils down to inside the program is going to say a equals 0, that's true, 1, if 1, which is true, it'll execute this code here. If it was false, it would skip everything inside here. Now, computers execute code, they'll execute millions of lines of code per second. So whenever we're doing this, it'll take only a fraction of a second for this to complete. If we wanted to have a program that lasted longer and we were actually able to do other stuff with, we have to introduce a new command, while. You say while a is 0, we're going to say b equals 0. Now what the while command does, it's saying while the condition inside the parentheses is true, execute the code block that follows it. So while a is equal to 0, b is equal to 0. In this program, a will always be equal to 0, so that while will be caught in what's called an infinite loop. It can't ever exit it. If I had something in here that said a equals 1, then as soon as it got to a equals 1, it would execute this, come back up here, check if the condition is true again. It wouldn't be true, so it would exit this code block here, and it would terminate the program.